just days after being inundated with heavy rain. Southern California now experiencing another weather event, Santa Ana winds, and they are certainly packing a punch. That right there is a sound you definitely do not want to hear. This video just into our newsroom. This is a tree that has fallen on a home in Sylmar. The impact so strong, branches crashed through the roof and into a bedroom, as you saw. One of the branches just a couple of feet away, in fact, from going through the bed. No word tonight on any injuries. Let's hope there were none. And then this, strong winds causing this palm tree to break near the root and fall right onto a Tesla while people were inside. This happened near Disneyland. One of the women inside says that they were sitting at a light when the tree fell.
We were stopped at a stoplight. We were like maybe 5 or 6 cars behind the light, and all of a sudden we were starting to go. The tree fell right on top of us from the right-hand side, from the hotel side.
Now, the victim's sister, who was driving the car at the time, was taken to the hospital with injuries. Let's hope that she is okay. No word on how serious those injuries are. What a scene there. Let's send things over now to Chief Meteorologist Adam Kruger for a check on the forecast and those winds.
So our Santa Ana wind event continues into tomorrow, but the strongest winds were expected to be earlier in the day today. So we're past the peak of it, but I want to show you a recap of the strongest wind gusts reported in our area today. A lot of numbers on the graphic right here, but you can see by the color coding, the oranges, the reds, showing where the strongest winds were. So as we come in a little farther north of LA and especially into the mountains, you can see all the gusts in the 40s and the 50s. This, by the way, is in miles per hour. We have a few spots in the mountains that topped 60 miles per hour, and then shifting it farther east. And again, Inland Empire, parts of the mountains around there, the mountains in Orange County and other parts of Orange County. We saw that video from around Disneyland, some strong wind gusts there as well. Now, as we move forward, wind advisories continue. We had high wind warnings earlier. Those have expired, but wind advisories continue for portions of LA and Ventura County only until 8 o'clock tonight. Meanwhile, areas farther east, the wind advisory goes until 1 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow there, but still areas in LA and Ventura County where it was gusty today will be somewhat breezy into tomorrow as well. That's a look at the forecast wind gusts during the wind advisory. You can see gusts may still be 30 to 45 or even above in the higher elevations. But we move away from the wind, and then rain becomes the big story a little bit later on this week. So we have this storm system way south of us right now. You see this big massive clouds, the swirl right here on the bottom part of your screen. So that's our storm system. That's going to be heading northward. What we're going to see first from that is just a lot of cloud cover tomorrow, but it's still going to be a warm day. We'll have temperatures tomorrow morning in the 50s. We'll get a little bit over 70, maybe even some mid to close to upper 70s in some parts of our area tomorrow afternoon. But the rain is coming after that. So we start getting showers coming in on Wednesday, off and on in nature. And I think what's going to happen is we probably get a heavier burst of rain coming in Wednesday night, which of course is when we're celebrating the New Year. And then also on Thursday, on New Year's Day, there's likely to be widespread rain and maybe even some heavy rain at times. Not great, right? Considering all that we have going on, not only is it the holiday, but there's the Rose Parade, which, by the way, this could be the first rainy Rose Parade in 20 years. And then there's the Rose Bowl game itself. So kind of a mess, at least at times on Thursday. I think we still see a little scattered rain on Friday, but kind of a lull somewhat between the next round that comes in, likely to target our area on Saturday. So that's kind of an overview of the rain chances. We'll walk you through the exact timing. We'll look at it on a map on Futurecast coming up a little bit later. Marla?
All right, Adam, back to those Santa Ana winds, though. Look at this. Crews were busy all over Southern California, seemingly responding to fallen trees. Skyfox over this big tree. This is in Tarzana earlier this afternoon, right on Van Alden Avenue, and you can see it covered both lanes there. That's a big one. So crews very busy today. And then how about this? Just big and small trees falling. Didn't matter. Skyfox flying over this massive tree near Moore Park. This fell on some power lines. Balcom Canyon Road and Grimes Canyon Road closed in both directions because of this, and crews, of course, are there working to clear those roads. All right, we are continuing to track those strong Santa Ana winds being felt over a large part of Southern California right now. Here's a look in Fontana where you can see the trees, the flagpoles, even some stoplights whipping around pretty good. Fast and furious, I'd say. And crews hard at work trying to clear this big tree. This is in Chatsworth. Strong winds knocking it down onto Topanga Canyon Boulevard. With all that said, we have, I think he said, one more day of the winds, and then we have more rain headed our way. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Adam Kruger. Did I get that right?
Fox 11 Weather is sponsored by your SoCal Hyundai dealers.
Yeah, that's right, Marla. Not too many dull moments in the weather department here lately. We'll talk about the winds first. So those do continue into tomorrow, although we're past the peak of the strongest winds already. We saw a lot of the Santa Ana wind-prone spots get gusts between 30 and 50 today, but some of the mountains, the gusts were even higher than that. Once we get past tomorrow, though, then the rain begins on Wednesday, and I think we're going to find a heavy burst of rain come in Wednesday night and into Thursday morning. So that's New Year's Eve night and into New Year's Day. But first, let's take a look at the wind forecast. So again, there's still some wind advisories in a few areas that continue into tomorrow. And notice where the red and purple colors are on this graphic, and watch the time as we take you into noon tomorrow. You can see we still have the offshore Santa Ana winds, some streaks where it's going to be a little bit breezy through some of the passes over some of the mountains here and there, but not as strong as what we saw today. And then again, the winds will keep kind of subsiding a little bit as we go more so into Wednesday. But let's talk about the rain now. This is probably what a lot of people are wondering about as we continue through this week. So first, tomorrow we find clouds moving in, no rain yet, and it's still going to be relatively warm tomorrow, lots of 70s. Then we go into Wednesday, and we see scattered light showers beginning to show up already really early in the morning, and then it's probably just off and on rain throughout the day. On Wednesday, nothing too heavy yet. This is Wednesday at 3 p.m. Watch Wednesday night now. I'll pause it at 8 p.m. You can see some heavier pockets of rain showing up and more widespread rain. That's going to continue right into midnight, which is when we're celebrating the new year, and then through much of the night into the early morning. Maybe that wave passing by a lot of us by, let's say, 8 in the morning. We hope that's the case. That's when the parade would start, the Rose Parade. But still, there's going to be some rain off and on in nature, I'd say, through the day on Thursday as well. So it's a chance that's going to be a wet Rose Parade and wet Rose Bowl game as well. Future rain now is going to show potential rain totals, mostly on the light side during the day Wednesday. But again, Wednesday night into Thursday, it's certainly possible that we'll find some heavy downpours. And as you see, 1 to 2 inches may fall. And in some of the mountains, we might even get a little bit more than that. And by the way, still into Friday and Saturday, there's a chance of rain in the forecast as well. Temperatures overnight tonight will be cool, but not far from norm for this time of year. In fact, a little warmer tonight than the last few nights, which were quite chilly. A lot of 40s lately. It's more so 50s. And then you see the highs tomorrow. We are in the 70s, but then it's going to be highs in the 60s and lows in the 50s for several days. And you see the rain chances there. 70% Wednesday, 90% Thursday. Still some possible rain into Saturday. Marla?
You're live outside right now at LAX. This is where I was yesterday afternoon. I was part of that holiday traffic backup at LAX. Clear today, but high winds and that rain ahead. And I was part of a delay as well, and that was partially weather related.
Like a 3-hour delay.
3.5 hour delay.
With a baby.
With a baby. We made it though.
All right. Chief Meteorologist Adam Kruger, let's talk about that rain that's coming.
Yeah, the delay was longer than your flight, I believe, right?
Oh my goodness, times 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about first the wind before we begin into the rain. And something that's changed in the last hour or so is the National Weather Service extended the wind advisory a little bit later. You might remember if you were watching our broadcast earlier today, we were talking about how this section of Ventura and LA County, it would expire at 8 o'clock tonight. They've pushed it until 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Out here, this also in effect until tomorrow afternoon as well, because we continue with Santa Ana winds from the northeast that are going to average sustained 15 to 30, but gusts could be 30 to 45 or even higher in some of the higher elevations like we saw today. So the wind is a little bit of an issue going into tomorrow. Winds will start to back down more so on Wednesday. And you can see as we back this out much farther that we've got the leading edge of just some high level moisture in the form of some thin clouds drifting in right now. Clouds are going to continue to move in as we head into tomorrow. And eventually there's some rain coming from a system that sits down here. So that's what has really our attention a little bit later on this week. As far as the forecast tomorrow, we stay dry tomorrow. We've got a lot of cloud cover. Still going to be on the warm side like today. We'll find many areas reaching the 70s tomorrow afternoon, but then cooler and wetter weather coming. So we expect, first of all, on Wednesday, New Year's Eve, scattered showers are going to start moving in. I think it'll be off and on through much of the day. There's probably going to be a bigger kind of burst and potentially some heavy rain coming in Wednesday night as we're celebrating the new year, and that could last into Thursday morning with more off and on rain throughout the day Thursday. That's New Year's Day, by the way, and you see the rain chance, meaning the coverage of rain, is nearly 100%. So unfortunately, rain a pretty good bet. Will it happen during the parade right in that exact spot? Yet to be determined, but we know there's going to be some widespread rain Thursday, and we'll walk you through what it looks like, the timing on the map coming up a little bit later. Oh, and by the way, you can see rain may even continue into the weekend. We'll head back to you.
All right, well, there's this cleanup. Those efforts continue in the San Bernardino Mountains after last week's flash flooding. Residents there still trying to dig out and salvage what they can.
Fox 11's Haley Winslow tonight in the mountain town of Lytle Creek, where residents are still reeling.
What a Christmas in Lytle Creek.
Everything that floats was already out the door. So, like, we'd managed to grab a couple of the presents literally standing there. Because if you stand too long in one spot in this mud, you're stuck. So now I'm just standing there stuck, trying to grab everything, presents, and put them up high as they're floating by. Kathleen's watching me from her car where she was stuck. She wants me to help her. I'm like, I can't do a thing.
Out Bodie's window, this is video his neighbor Kathleen caught while trapped inside her car.
It was the beginning of the flash flood. And we got hit by a dumpster. We got hit by a windstar, we got hit by propane tanks, and then we ended up here, stuck right here.
What was that like?
It was terrifying. I was crying.
I'm at home watching the whole thing, and I couldn't even get to her. It's my sister, and I feel so bad. You know what I mean? I couldn't do a damn thing. Oh my God, it was horrible.
They were yelling at us to roll the windows down. They were yelling at us to unbuckle our seatbelts in case we flipped.
They worked together for 4 hours to get her husband, and her son and a dog out. Do you see it?
Yep.
Okay, it was actually up by where the tractor is.
Wow.
And it floated.
About 1/3 of the 300 homes in this small San Bernardino County community devastated by mud.
There was nothing anybody can do to stop this. It came so fast. So there was a surge, and then it went down, and I was like, oh, great, the water's going down. It was flying down the road, and as soon as I saw that, I knew my house was in bad shape.
Homes red tagged, cars buried, residents at a loss, armed with shovels, just trying to dig their way out, one scoop at a time. This is the wildest muddy mess I've ever seen. But despite the devastation, the humanity of this town has been so beautiful to see. There's only about 700 people who live here and about 300 homes. And they are some of the nicest, warmest, and most grounded people I've ever met. And watching them all come together and help each other, especially during the holidays, has been pretty remarkable. Reporting in Lytle Creek, I'm Haley Winslow, Fox 11 News.
Weather is sponsored by My Home Sold.
Live look outside from atop Mount Wilson, and quite the windy day, and we have more rain headed our way. That could last into the weekend. I know that's what you said last time around, Adam Kruger.
Yeah, another week where we really need to pay close attention to what's going on with the weather here. Right now, it's relatively quiet. Still some gusty spots and wind advisories continue into tomorrow. We'll look at that in a moment. You'll also notice we have just like, well, I think on the last shot, it was a little more obvious that there was a little bit of cloud cover starting to show up after a cloudless day pretty much. So that's the leading edge of the next round of change coming our way. There you see it, that live view from Mount Wilson. So clouds show up first, rain shows up eventually. We'll get to it. Let's look at our headlines. First of all, it's the Santa Ana winds that are going to continue through the day tomorrow with wind advisories. Rain starts to show up Wednesday. I think we could find a heavier round coming in Wednesday night and into Thursday morning. That might be the heaviest batch out of the whole stretch of rainy weather we have ahead. But still, later in the day, Thursday and even Friday, Saturday, some rain will be possible. So the wind advisory, which we mentioned earlier, got extended into tomorrow afternoon across parts of LA and Ventura County. It originally was set to extend into tomorrow afternoon out east as well. So these areas in tan are where we're going to find some strong winds at times anyways. And that's where we have the strongest winds today, in those exact same spots. Here's what our model shows as we go into tomorrow. Notice these streaks of red and purple. That's where gusts could be over 30 or 35 miles per hour. So moving through some of the passes and over the Santa Ana Mountains and then over towards the west, like the Santa Monica Mountains, up through some of the mountains in Ventura County and LA County. That's where we have to keep an eye on some of those strong gusts for tomorrow. Wednesday, then things settle down a little more. All right, Futurecast is going to show the clouds moving in tonight. A mostly cloudy, but still kind of warm day tomorrow. Lots of highs will be in the 70s. But it's the rain that we really need to keep an eye on here. So let's go into that on Wednesday in the morning already. We've got widespread light rain mostly showing up at first. So it's more like nuisance showers off and on throughout the day on Wednesday. Then as we go into Wednesday night, we start to find the coverage of the rain increase and the intensity of the rain increase. Here's 8 o'clock at night. We'll pause it at midnight as we ring in the new year. Very likely could be rain across a lot of the area. And then look at what our latest model run, this just updated a short time ago, brings in early Thursday morning. This could be some heavy stuff for sure. Now that's 7 a.m. Of course, the Rose Parade starts at 8. People would be out there before that, I imagine. And notice what our model does with this wave of rain is it tends to sweep it through and past a lot of LA a little bit later in the morning. But keeping it over our eastern areas. So it doesn't mean it's just a constant rain all day Thursday. I think there's going to be that big wave early in the morning, maybe some lulls at times during the day, but probably still some rain even into the end of the day Thursday, at least a possibility. That's how it looks now. We're going to get better data as we get closer to the time frame. Potential rain totals, it's looking like through Thursday, 1 to 2 inches will be common. Some of the mountains might find more than 2 inches of rain. All right, now temperatures, as we start to find that cloud cover and the moisture moving in, not going to be quite as chilly as we've had the last few nights. A lot of areas have been way down to the 40s. Lows tonight more so between about 50 and 55 for many spots, and then highs tomorrow. We've got those 70s for a lot of the LA area, greater LA area. Nice and warm for one more day before we get cooler and we get that wet weather. You see highs in the 60s Wednesday and beyond, with pretty high rain chances Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday especially. Back to you.
Well, clear and cool today as we give you a live look from atop Mount Wilson. We're dealing with high wind and another round of holiday rain. Let's check in with our chief meteorologist, Adam Kruger now. Adam?
Yeah, I think it might be good to be in the poncho business in Pasadena in a couple of days from now because, yes, that rain is looking likely. Whether or not it's hitting right when the parade's going on, we're still trying to sort that out. But before we jump to the rain, let's talk about those winds. Now, earlier today, we had a high wind warning. That's expired. Now we're down to a wind advisory, which is not quite as severe. But in these 10 areas through tomorrow afternoon, we still could find winds gusting over 30 miles per hour. And that's that offshore Santa Ana wind, which tends to warm us, a lot of us up, which means probably more 70s for high temperatures tomorrow. But then we see our next change, and it's the rain we've been talking about. In fact, we can already see the leading edge of some clouds beginning to move in. That's just the beginning of what sits down to our south. There's a storm system down here, an area of low pressure. So it's going to keep sending clouds our way, and eventually some rain will be attached to those clouds. We start getting that on Wednesday. So here's a quick look at just the rain forecast day by day, and we'll talk more in detail about this a little bit later. But just to know, tomorrow, it's not going to be raining yet. Wednesday, we at least start getting some light rain showing up. It'll probably be pretty widespread, but I'm thinking Wednesday night and into Thursday morning is when it's more likely to get a heavier burst of rain, so some heavy downpours is possible there. Probably not raining constantly all day on Thursday. I think it'll come in waves, and again, the heaviest probably more so Thursday morning. And then Friday, there's still some possible rain, and a second wave might be coming our way still on Saturday before I think finally we're a little bit drier by Sunday and Monday. But quite a stretch ahead of us here. Might be a few inches of rain by the end of all this in some spots. We'll look at that. We'll time it out a little more hour by hour coming up just a bit later. Marla?